Italy, a land of rich cultural treasures, but also a country in economic crisis. Who will save its priceless archaeological heritage? To find out, I traveled to Ercolano near Naples. Despite the widespread decay of Italy's ancient artifacts, there are some success stories here. Ciro Iengo is passionate about preserving the town's artifacts. He used to be Ercolano's mayor and is acquainted with pretty much everyone. He's always ready to lend an ear when residents complain. Like many other towns in Italy, Ercolano is suffering from political and financial turmoil, high unemployment, and increasing poverty. Protecting cultural treasures is a low priority. But Ciro believes the past is essential to Ercolano's spiritual and material wealth. That's why he's fighting to maintain it. Ciro tells me he has a motto: communicate or perish. People won't know where we are or which places have precious objects unless we tell them, he says. Among Ercolano's precious objects are around 20 Vesuvian villas dating to the 18th century. These splendid summer residences once belonged to the rulers of the House of Bourbon. They stretch along the so-called Golden Mile, between Naples and Sorrento. Many of these once grand estates are in a sad state of decay. But the Villa Campolieto is an exception. It's been restored to its original splendor. I'm surprised to learn that it's not open to the public. Private functions bring in enough money to keep it maintained and to hire a doorman. Luckily, Ciro knows him and he lets us in. We've come to meet Luca Coppola, one of Ciro's fellow campaigners. Together they show me the villa. It's in near perfect condition, but it's largely unused. There's an ostentatious beauty to the place, but also an eerie emptiness. Ciro shows me the places where the original construction is still visible. The unbelievable skill of craftsmen from another era. So much work has gone into restoring the building, and yet hardly anyone has access to it. Luca tells me how the nobles flocked here because of the beauty of the area. From that balcony you can see Mount Vesuvius, and opposite, the sea. Luca says that after decades of corruption, financial mismanagement, and sheer ignorance, it's time to rediscover the beauty of such places. I find his optimism admirable, considering the problems the region is facing. We have an incredible legacy, he says, but we're not using it properly. Our biggest task is to turn that around through ideas and through innovation. Also to make contact with others and start up community-based initiatives. I'm not talking about anything on a grand scale. Just breathing new life into what we have and looking around to see how similar things are working elsewhere in the world. One place where innovation and heritage are combined is the Museo Archeologico Virtuale, or MAV. Ciro helped establish the museum 5 years ago. It attracts lots of children, and Ciro takes the opportunity to convert them to the cause. He tells them they should learn to treasure their cultural artifacts. Technology helps make the museum an audiovisual experience. Mount Vesuvius even speaks, telling the story of how it erupted 2,000 years ago.
il timone verso il luogo del pericolo, così privo di paura da dettare e descrivere ogni fenomeno della tragedia.
Visitors use interactive exhibits to explore the everyday life and the downfall of the ancient cities of Herculaneum and Pompeii. Digital effects create a sense of what these places were like. I can see why Ciro is proud of the museum. It's impressive, especially for such a small town. But it's now facing financial problems. There's no more money to pay staff. If it doesn't find a private sponsor soon, it will have to close. Now I want to see the jewel in Ercolano's cultural crown, Herculaneum at the foot of Mount Vesuvius. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The city was blanketed by lava when the volcano erupted here in 79 AD. It's been transformed from a ruin to a prime example of archaeological preservation. Ciro says it's all thanks to a private donor. A foundation set up by American philanthropist David Packard funded the restoration, donating 15 million euros in the space of 10 years. In the thermal baths, I spot an image I'd seen in the museum, Triton, a sea god.
Questo è il mosaico che sta nel MAV, il famoso museo archeologico virtuale.
It's surreal. I'm walking through a city frozen in time 2,000 years ago. The site is in excellent condition, despite the fact that earlier excavations damaged some artifacts beyond repair. Funds from the Packard Foundation have made it possible for visitors to walk through some of the villas. A drainage system has been installed. Mosaics and frescoes have been repaired. The preservation effort is a never-ending job. The number of visitors is steadily growing. Many are young people. Christian Brigi is one of the archaeologists charged with maintaining Herculaneum. He works for the public relations department of the foundation. He also supports Ciro's work.
Actually, for that
Christian shows me the House of Neptune and Amphitrite.
Sort of the summer dining room, which
It's the newest project for the foundation and world famous for its mosaic. Rain and groundwater once threatened to destroy the priceless artwork. Today it's protected by a roof and drains. The foundation's primary goal is to protect the things that have already been excavated.
It's very difficult. I think the message to archaeologists is always think twice before you excavate something, in terms of what you then leave the Heritage Authority to deal with.
I can imagine that the foreign foundation wasn't always universally liked. After all, donors bring their own ideas and conditions with them. But Herculaneum has become an unquestionable success story, and the foundation has played its part in that.
And that is done through training, it's done through consultation meetings with the residents, it's done bringing international professionals to work in Herculaneum. And that way, what we're trying to do, and we've only been working at this since 2007, is trying to demolish that divide, which is physical and psychological, between the modern town and the ancient town.
That makes sense, because maintaining Herculaneum is as expensive as it is rewarding. There are multi-story houses, inns complete with interior decorations, and everyday things like textiles, pots and jugs, and grain. It's a once-in-a-lifetime source of information about the lives of the ancient Romans, and it's a challenge for archaeologists. Instead of moving these treasures into a sterile museum, they're going to stay where they are, where they once formed an integral part of the life of a bustling town. And they're ready to captivate another generation of visitors. I'm encouraged by all the children I see at Herculaneum. If they learn to value this legacy, then perhaps it will survive to inspire their children. It could also provide a financial boost for the town. Later, Ciro shows me a ferry wharf. It's a kind of project that should have brought more tourists to the area. The idea was to bring visitors here by high-speed hovercraft from Sorrento, Capri, Ischia, and Naples, says Ciro. It would be better for the environment than buses and cars. They'd step right off in front of the Vesuvian villas. And 150 meters down there, behind the abandoned factories, that's Herculaneum. Renovations have been stalled for years. Is it just a matter of money? To be a good politician, you need to come up with ideas, says Ciro. But we keep electing governments who don't have that skill. But there are private investors who could put money in for their benefit and for the benefit of the city. It doesn't seem there'll be any additional government funding anytime soon. So those fighting to save Italy's cultural treasures are increasingly looking to private donors.